Hi, this is Maria Quattrone with the Be the Solution podcast. Today, welcome my guest, Kim Meeker with Meeker Realty Group in Temecula, California. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for having me.
I wanted to be in a business that I did not have a ceiling. Take a pen and a piece of paper, draw a line, draw another line next to it. In 365 days, if you drew 365 lines, you started here with one line, but look how far you've come.
Kim, welcome. So happy and excited to speak with you today.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited.
Awesome. We're diving right in.
All right,
So,
let's do it.
how did you do it? How did you get into real estate and how long's it been?
So I actually, not knowingly, got into real estate back in the 80s. I started working for actually a mortgage banker in the evenings when I was in high school. And I started out as a telemarketer, actually. So I was calling homeowners out of the phone book, literally out of the phone book. There was no database already provided for me. They ripped out the page from the phone book and we had to start calling with a phone to the ear, no headset, right? Like total old school. And so I just found a love for talking to people on the phone and trying to find a way to help them. At that time, to date myself a little bit, it was Transamerica Associates and Beneficial, a lot of second TDs. And, we were doing refinances for people that had interest rates from 17 to 21%. It was crazy. And
Whoa.
yeah.
17 to 21.
Yeah.
And today we're at like 5.3.
Yeah.
And so, wow, you're refining people at that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Jeez.
Right. And
Circa,
so
what year?
Yeah, go ahead.
What year?
Oh gosh, 86 and 87.
86 and 87. Okay.
What were you doing in 86 and 87?
Well, I was partying it up in high school in 86.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So, and a little bit about my background too is, being raised by a single mom. If I didn't work full time or as much as I could when I was in high school, so I didn't have anything. I had to buy my first car. I had to, buy my clothes to put on my bag. Because we were pretty poor. A lot of people didn't realize it, but growing up with a single mom, if I wanted anything like my friends had, I had to work for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know all about working. I started working when I was 14 at the bank, counting checks.
Yeah. So that's kind of where it started, is I just fell in love with helping people on the phone, right? And I had this, it would make me feel so good to set appointments. And that's how I learned how to track and measure my numbers, right?
Oh, boy.
If I called a full sheet of numbers, I knew that I would probably set 5 to 10 appointments. I didn't even think about how many people would answer. I just went for the appointment because I had to set the appointments for the loan officers. Right.
Right.
And it was a high for me to go and put my little, tick, my little one, line up on the whiteboard that I booked the appointment. And that's how it started. Jeez. And then I loved getting into doing the credit reports. I'd get to pull the Transamerican, little typewriter like this, and you'd go and input their information, and I'd have to pull the credit and then give it to the loan officer and all of that. I just really took ownership of all of that. And I stayed with that banking institution all the way till when I started college out in California. So that was back in Indiana. And then I moved out to San Diego to go to a junior college. And I moved out here with them and then started their, what we used to do is go down to the courthouse, and I'd have to sit there on the machines for 8 hours a day and pull people's TDs off and their addresses, then I'd have to go home and I'd have to search their phone number in the crisscross book, put their phone number on there for the telemarketers to call those numbers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so how long did you do this for?
Oh gosh, from really, I was probably about 15 and a half. So, because I remember having to have a worker's permit. So until I was 19 and a half.
That's a boatload of experience.
Yeah.
Wow. So then what?
Let's see here. Then I moved into loan processing for another banking institution in San Diego. And then I followed that bank up to San Francisco and, just really got into loan processing, working the loans behind the scenes. I was an escrow officer for a short stint. Then I worked for a company that serviced credit unions. It was a credit union that serviced like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, so all the employees. So then I got into more of a loan officer position, but a lot of it was still like not face-to-face because these were employees that had a package from their credit union. So it was kind of it was a pretty warm lead, but that's how I learned how to handle, like I probably had at any given time north of 70 to 100 files at a time. And that was back in 91, 92. And then the market crashed. Showed up to work, door was locked. That's when I lived in San Jose. Yeah.
Whoa, doors locked.
Doors locked. Didn't even have a, and I was 23 making 6 figures a year. Yeah.
So what did you do?
I rented out my apartment, my room. I had a 2-bedroom apartment with a friend, rented my space out, sold my bed, and packed up my car and drove home.
So you drove back with your mom?
Back to Indiana. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was living in San Jose. I had a job offer in Los Gatos, that was before Silicon Valley time, actually. And I thought, gosh, if I'm just going to stay here, might as well go back home and hopefully I'll make somewhat of the same money. And it was a lot cheaper, right? Back in the Midwest. And so I just went home, I was out here by myself in California, kind of living the big life, and 22, 23 years old, and thought, you know what, I'm going to wrap it up.
So back home you went.
Yeah.
Back home you went. So how did you get into the real estate side?
So in the Midwest versus being out in California, there's a lot of land, right? So new home construction was just becoming a thing in the Midwest. And I decided to work for a national company that I was referred to in the loan processing center. And they hired me to come in to run their wholesale side on their processing side. So as a loan processor, and the builder, I'm not going to say the name, but they're a national builder. They had a lending side that worked with their own clients that were purchasing the properties, with them. And so they wanted to open up a wholesale side, but it's really hard to get a wholesale side with the builder to get agents to use the builder's financing for their own clients, right? If they're buying resale, right?
Absolutely.
And so they hired me for that division. And I remember, oh my gosh, I can still visually see myself sitting in the chair interviewing for this job. And she offered me $25,000 a year. Now, some people would think that's really good money for a 23-year-old, right? With no college education. I didn't finish college. And I'm sitting there and my last W-2 the year prior, I made almost $100,000, right? I think I made like $92,000. Okay. And I'm looking at her going, oh my God, I can't even afford my apartment. I kind of panicked a little bit and I thought, well, this is a great growth opportunity for me. I have to pay attention to what's being presented to me here, and I'm gonna do it. And I don't have any other options, right? So if I get in on the ground floor, open up this wholesale side. I had a lot of experience from being out here. Why not? So I'll just figure it out later. So I got another job waiting tables, and I just made it work, right? So I was working 2 jobs, and I had a loan file come across my desk, and it was a sales rep for this builder, and she was buying her first home. And I had this goal. I needed to own my own house by the time I was 25. I'd had this goal since I don't know where I came up with the 25. 25 is like my good luck number, and it always has been since I was a teenager, right? And so my goals, wanting to own my first house, I see this file come across my desk, and she's making almost $6,000 a month selling new homes back there. And I thought, oh my gosh, I could do that with my eyes closed.
That's
right?
going to get me closer to 92 than
It's
25.
right? Exactly. I'm like, okay, there's my opportunity. And I'd love to sell houses, right? I love model homes, right? And so, I was watching that, and I literally knocked on the sales manager's door, and I knew him from being down in the loan center, because the new home sales was on the top floor. And I cold solicited him, and I said, I want to sell homes for you. And he's like, what kind of experience do you have? And I said, I have a ton of lending experience, right? Which to me was really important, to be able to run a payment, taxes, insurance, understanding conventional FHA and VA loans was how I thought that was like the magic sauce, right? So I was very confident, and he burst in my bubble, and he's like, you don't have the experience, and you don't have a college degree. Go get the experience and come back. And I thought, wow, okay, game on. So that's what I did. And so I just searched builders in the area that I could go work for. I found a builder, interviewed with them, first time home builder. Literally, the homes were selling for $79,000, $89,000, and $99,000. That was the price point, right? I had no systems, no leads. All I knew was how to run payments. And I went in and sold the crap out of myself with that in that interview, because I had all the mortgage background, right? And they hired me. And I thought, oh my gosh, I was so grateful that I couldn't let them down. I'm like, I gotta crank this out, right? And so again, mindset, I can do anything. I can do anything. And I was so grateful and humbled because of what that other person had told me. Even though it pushed me down, it made me grow. I thought, okay, well, those aren't limitations to me. You're putting that limitation on me, and I'm not going to allow for that to happen. Makes sense? And I knew that at a very young age, right? So that first year in sales with that builder, I sold 56 houses.
Wow.
Nobody had done that in sales for that company. I took those 56 houses, and I had done the research that whole year prior, and I wanted to work for the top home builder in my city. I wanted to work for the Nike of home builders. And so I knew who the home builder was. I cold called them because of the phone experience. I had no fear whatsoever. And I got an appointment. I got an interview, and I was like, oh my God, now what do I do? Right? Because this was my dream job, to go into sales for this company. So fast forward, I did get the job. I crushed it in sales. I was rookie of the year. I was salesperson of the year. I think almost every single year that I was with them, except for maybe 2 years. And I was with them for almost 7 years. I met my husband there. And that's where I got a lot of my experience on how to talk to people, knowing what to say, when to say, and how to say it. That's where I learned how to script. So that experience being in new home sales, I was in new home sales for a total with both companies. Because then I went to another national company after that for about almost 15 years total. So that experience right there is what I've used in my resale experience in real estate. I took that and put it into place.
So you were in working for home builders for 23 years?
So I sold my first house in 93.
And when did you get onto the resale side?
2007.
2007.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's around, let's see, 24 years. So 24 years, it's 2007, the market crashed.
Yeah.
Kim says,
and I moved to California where I knew nobody.
You picked up and moved to California.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, picked up, moved my 3 little boys and my husband. We all moved out here to Southern California. Yeah.
And you started. And you said, I'm going to start my real estate business here.
Yes. So I had an opportunity back in the Midwest to work for a national brick and mortar brokerage. And they wanted me to open up a small office downtown Indianapolis. They were just starting to bring in lofts into that area. And they were really wanting, because I was younger at that time, they thought I would do really well bringing in like the younger crowd and marketing to that, selling lofts, because it was a completely unknown market for Indianapolis as a whole. It's very common on the West Coast, East Coast, and such like that, Florida, right, to have, flats and stuff. But it was not common there. And going through that interviewing process, I thought, gosh, you know what? This is massive. Like, I could really take this and grow it to something that I've never, like, it was a great challenge for me. But at the same time, I was really struggling because I had gotten into real estate. And this is where, gosh, I could talk for days on this part. But, I got in this arena before I had children. And then when I started having my boys, when I was in new home construction, it was really hard because I struggled. I wanted to have this massive career and be super successful. And I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and I wanted to raise my kids. And it was a internal fight that was really challenging for me. And so my husband and I just, we looked at everything very thoroughly, and I decided that was not the right path for me. If we're going to make a go at it, and we had literally even gotten our, because he thought about going off and becoming a custom home builder himself. My husband's a builder. So we had thought about branching off and starting that business back in Indianapolis. So we had all the connections. And then I said, you know what? Let's just move back out to the Midwest. I want this opportunity for us. There's a huge amount of opportunity out there, and I want to raise my kids having a little bit more diversity. Make sense? So we sold our house. We had, I think, $15,000 in the bank outside of our equity we got from the house, which wasn't much. And we literally packed up and moved out to San Diego.
That takes a lot of guts.
A lot of guts, right? Like
a lot of guts.
And we had a beautiful custom house, or a house that we had built for ourselves back in Indy. Totally, we were very solid, but packed up. He listened. This was kind of like my goal. It really wasn't his. So we took a huge risk. And when we got out here, so the answer to your question is when we got out here, new home construction in California is very different than in the Midwest. At that time it was a lottery, literally people camping out, signing up. And that wasn't competitive enough for me. That wasn't challenging enough for me. And on top of that, the way the builders treat the realtors out here and the realtor community is I wasn't real happy with it. And I couldn't wear that hat no longer. Does that make sense? Like, it wasn't, it's just not a challenge. You don't have to work for the business. Really, it just comes to you. And
it's like being an order taker, just like a lot of people experienced over the last 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was really big into my realtor community back in Indianapolis. I mean, that was 85% of my business. And that's why I did so well, is because I loved on my realtors. I took care of them. I educated them. I fed them. I popped into them, into their offices almost every single week. They always knew my specs. They always, we had to work, right? And so coming out here, what was really common is the builders also really chewed up their salespeople, because I could be in San Diego, Orange County, Riverside County, which that's a lot of miles, right? And so I told my husband, like, I can't do that. Like, that little person inside of me that's wanting to stay home and raise my kids, like, we can't do that. Like, I just can't imagine myself being in Orange County and having my kids, and my husband was working and commuting as well for a builder, a commercial builder in Southern California. So I just sat back and I said, my gosh, Kim, what are you thinking? If you just put 4 hours, now, if you go to work for a home builder, you're going to put in 8 to 10 hours a day working for somebody else. And I had worked for these builders for 15 years and I walked away broke and I bled out for them. I gave them everything. I gave them my soul. The one builder I told you about that was my goal to work for, like I gave them my soul. They owned me. And I sat there and I'm like, I have nothing.
That can't feel good.
What was that?
That can't feel good.
It didn't feel good at all. And I thought, I can't do this to my family. I want to start building something for my family that I can pass along if I want to. And so when I sat there, I thought, if I just put 4 hours a day into my business as a real estate professional, I know how to qualify people. I know how to show homes. I know all of that, right? I know how to get up on the stage. I know how to put together my own script, right? And in that time, there was no coaching. There was no such thing as coaching at all. And so I said, okay, I can commit 4 hours a day. And then I told my husband, every single weekend for the next 6 months, I'm going to commit to doing an open house every single weekend. And the market had started to tank. We started to see the REOs coming on the market, the short sales, right? And I started to educate. And the short sales was just my cup of tea. Why? Because I had to negotiate with the lenders, right? And that was so comfortable for me. While everybody else was freaking out, I'm like, oh my God, give me the phone. I know how to negotiate with lenders and investors all day long, right? So that was like the perfect storm for me because I was super comfortable. And so I just searched out properties that I could do open houses in, and I did. I stayed to my game plan. And that's very important, especially for new agents, even older agents right now, is find out your plan, put your plan together and stick to it. Don't panic, right? What's your plan? And that was my plan, was my open houses every weekend. If I could go work for a builder every single weekend and hold open their sales models, right? And be away from my family, I can hold open an open house Saturday and Sunday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And there's your business.
There's your business.
Did people come walking right in the door?
Well, they did somewhat, but again, kind of like what we're going through right now, where the buyers have fallen off. We were talking about that before. We were coming out of 2006, going into 2007, and I immediately went out. I found myself a lender to set up in the open houses with me, right? So if I found a buyer, I could go and show properties. I had my list of available homes around me in the neighborhood. So if that home didn't work, I went and showed them other property, right? This was my business, and I was open for business. So when you walked in, I had my brochures, my table. I set it up like a model home, right?
Yes.
Right. And I
Awesome.
even, the vacant homes that were short, REOs that smelled horribly. I had this one property that I held open in a community called Ranch Bernardo, and the place smelled like death. I've never smelled like it smelled horrible.
Oh gosh.
Yes, it was horrible.
Yikes.
But it was.
I've had a bunch of those listings.
It smelled like death. It totally did. And it was a big condo that was on a golf course, a popular golf course. The windows were broken from golf balls. Okay. When you walked in, I came in with my air fresheners. I even vacuumed the carpet, right? I set that place up because if I'm going to invest, whether it's 4 hours or 8 hours, I'm going to make the best of that time. Because my goal was to get an escrow within the first 90 days. I had heard so many people, including my broker, would tell me, and again, we knew nobody. Jim's sister lived here. That's it. And she wasn't referring me business, right? So I set up, and, everybody that came in, I had them register, and I got a Fox News guy that was retired from Fox News. Came in on a Saturday. Big, tall fella. I mean, I swear he was like 7 feet tall. Big, really tall guy. And the homes in Rancho Bernardo were built in the 70s and 80s, right? So they've got 7.5-foot ceilings, right, to 8-foot ceilings, most of them. And if they're vaulted, that's where you got your height, right? And going around for new agents too is going around and doing the caravans weekly. That was really popular back then. And so I would do my caravans so I could meet other agents and lenders and title people and escrow. And but by going through those caravans, I knew of a property on the golf course that had a pool, that the kitchen was only upgraded, and it was on the market at I think it was like $750, which was like really expensive, right? He comes walking in, and he's like, okay, looks around. He's like, okay, this isn't going to work for me. I need a house right away. I said, no problem. Share with me what you need. What are you looking for today? And I wanted to get right to the point, right? So I have my questions. How did you hear about us? What are you looking for? And he told me, I want a house on the golf course. I want a pool. And I said, perfect. I have the house for you. My lender took over. I left. I called the listing agent because I had met her at the caravan. I said, can I get into your property? She's like, give me an hour. I said, perfect. Went in, sold it just like that. Done. Out of the gate.
And there you have it.
There you have it. Long story.
There you have it. There you have it. So
That's
now,
my story.
So now you're in the business. You've been in the industry for a very, very long time. You are an expert in your field, and now we're in 2022, and you own your own real estate company, Meeker Realty. And what does it look like today? What's the makeup? Who's in your company?
Sure. So now we have 4 admins. There's myself. We have, and I've got 17 members, and we're growing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what do you think? What are some of the challenges that you had to overcome to be where you are today, Kim, in over the last decade?
I think the challenges are really, I think it's more mental, to be honest with you. Mindset is
100%.
really important, right? And so, going through and having to always change and be able to adapt as a young child to my situations that I grew up in made me a stronger and smarter business person for myself. And I've had to conquer fear so many times in my youth and as a young adult, really being, I don't want to say solo, but I really had to depend on myself for a lot of things, really shaped and molded me for who I am today. Right. I think also trying to always coming from a place of contribution and being humbled is also very important. Like for me, I love to be the quiet person. I'm a very high D personality. I know that, but over the years, when I was younger, I had to force myself to be the quiet one. And I was painfully shy when I was young, which taught me to listen to what was going on around me. And I use that to today. Like I'm always listening and paying attention to what's going on around me. And and at a very young age, getting in this industry, my early 20s, I was very fortunate to have aligned myself, not really knowing that I was doing that, with people that were so much more successful. And they took me underneath their wing. And I listened and I did everything they told me to do. I never questioned anything. I just did it. Right. And so to today, having all that knowledge, I want to be able to be there and mentor and help others get to where I am today. Truthfully. And so by
Absolutely.
conquering that growth, and you have to be willing to grow all the time. Like every day, I swear, Maria, I get up every morning and I reinvent myself.
I know what that's all about.
Mm-hmm.
And then some days you wake up and everything just clicks.
Yeah.
It just clicks, and you know where you're going, you know what you want. It takes time to figure that out. Hopefully people do figure that out. But I do believe that we're here to help others and, to leave a legacy of how many people can we impact in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking to do.
Yeah.
How many people can we impact in our lifetime? And it's, I love the stories because we all have one, and which is what makes us all unique. And it doesn't matter. Somebody can't be Kim. You can't say take Kim's path because only Kim is Kim. And so, what maybe work for somebody may not work for somebody else, right? So it's like it's always great, like to replicate and duplicate other people's efforts.
Can duplicate, or deploy.
Yeah, but we have to put our own personality into it, because otherwise we're sounding like a robot. We're like robot Kim, robot Maria, instead of saying, okay, what part of this can I take and make it my own and put my personality into it? I think that's something that's, important when we're doing those types of things. But so tell me, what's in store for you? What are you looking for in your world through the 2020s?
Yeah. So, where I'm headed is definitely looking to build the brokerage. I really have this, it's just been tugging on my heartstrings and my soul for several years now. And, building a team, and I failed forward so many times with that, but I want to build a team brokerage. Like, it's not about me anymore. And I'm looking to contribute to building a brokerage where everybody can collaborate. And I know this might sound so cliche and just fluffy, but it's very true. Like, I've done what I need to do. Now I want to help others build and be successful with their companies. But most importantly, it's not so much about how many homes you're selling. It's not about getting to 50 to 100. It used to be like that for me, truthfully, but going deeper is I want to help others build their family's wealth. I want to see them get out of debt. I want to see them buy a home. I want to see them put their kids through college, right? Those are the things that I'm looking for and contributing to other people's lives. So and I think we can do that, not only having a successful brokerage, right? I'd love to have my successful brokerage here in Temecula, and I'm looking for 2 other markets as well. So once we get this under wraps here, for the most part, I'm just going to duplicate it in 2 other markets. And that's where the growth is going to be for me in the next 10 years. I'd like to have my husband be able to retire and come on, maybe even, spec out and build some properties as well. That's what his jam is. And just, be a little bit more relaxed.
So we align, Kim, in many ways, because my company, we are a team office. We started a scholarship program about 7 months ago. So we bring people in to help them build generational wealth, and in some cases get out of generational poverty. Mm-hmm. And part of that comes into home ownership. I don't know really any people that have generational wealth that don't own a home. Right. So the importance of home ownership, the importance of, using real estate as a vehicle. We're not real estate. I'm not real estate. I have other things that I do. We have a mortgage company. We're starting a joint venture with a title company and some other ventures. And it's how many people can I impact? So I love that. How many people can you impact their lives? Yeah. Because we know how to sell real estate. No doubt that you know how to sell real estate. You've been doing it for decades, right? Yeah. So it's okay. We're allowed to reinvent ourselves daily if we want. And being part of the community and creating community within your organization That's what it's about. So I love hearing that.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. I guess like some questions, like couple like quick questions.
Yeah.
So favorite book all time.
Oh gosh, so I'm like an audiobook junkie. I love audiobooks, and I'm not going to say like favorite book of all times. Whatever is what I'm relating to at that time is obviously my favorite book, but I love leadership books. I love reading, and my husband will laugh at me because I've only sat down and read like one like novel where what was it 50 Shades of Grey. Oh my god, I'm going to start laughing right now. That's the only book I ever set down as like a romance novel. I literally read all three, and he's like, "Who are you?" Because I'm such a leadership. Like I love leadership books that talk about just building you up and making you think deeper about yourself and how you can change and grow. So I actually am re-listening to and rereading, The Can't Hurt Me. It's actually on my desk right here.
Oh, David Goggins.
And so I've read the book, and then, our friend Bill Pikes had mentioned, you need to listen to the audio. The audio is so much different. And I 100% agree. I'm feeling like I'm having a very different experience listening to the audio versus reading the book. I'm getting different information. Does it make sense?
I'm going to do the audio.
I definitely do the audio.
I vaguely remember Bill saying that. Bill gave us a lot of information. It was action-packed.
Yeah, we're starting round 2 right now. We're going to start, and I'm going to chunk it out into 4 weeks with his training.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's 12 weeks even was a lot. We have a lot of new folks. So, really being able to absorb and then implement all of that information in 3 months wasn't enough time for us. So we're going to redo it, all of it.
It's not, it's not actually at all. So I feel like you have to chunk it down. And for some people, you might have to do 2-week increments as well. And then just really dive deep, because he gave so much information and so many layers are in there to really, especially for new agents, they're just like, oh my God, it's a fire hose, So another one I love is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Excellent. Stephen Covey.
Yeah. I read, I actually was introduced to that book back in when I first got into new home sales. The builder I was talking to you about, we all had to sit down, we did round tables, and we dissected that book. And, it made a huge impact on me and who I was and how I treated others. Right. Right. Because I had to learn more about myself, but really how I treated others, from people that came in my front door. We were learning about the different disc profiles at that time too, learning about the bull, the tiger, that owl, and the lamb, the disc. That's how I first was introduced to the different personality traits and profiles, was through the animals. Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I know you do audiobooks. So is there any podcasts that are favorites that you'd recommend?
Yes. So here, I love Real Estate Rock Stars. I listen to Real Estate Rock Stars like something every morning. Have you heard of them?
I have.
Yeah. Real Estate Rock Stars.
Is that Pat? Is that Pat Hyben?
Oh,
he sold it.
So many different speakers that they have on there. That sounds familiar. And then I will listen to our 5 a.m. club that I like. Tom Toole is on there, and a couple different guys.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And then, so I listen to that every morning. I'll grab a Real Estate Rock Star, and then I do Tom Ferry. A lot of Tom Ferry.
Awesome.
All real estate related.
Good. I know, it is a lot of real estate related, but that's good. That's good. Yeah. I think that we go through phases. We go through phases where it's more real estate, and then maybe it's more business books that aren't real estate, but you can pull from. Some of the, I love the book, Not How Who.
Not How Who.
It's a really, Yeah, it's about, don't worry about how it's getting done. It's going to be who. So find the people you can put in place to make it happen.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
really great. I really like that book. I like the book Winning.
Mm-hmm.
Winning, Tim Grover. There's so many. I am an avid book junkie. I have tons and tons and tons of books. It's crazy. So that's why I always ask about the books.
What book?
So,
So another one is
um,
have you listened to Change Your Words, Change Your Life?
I have not.
That's a good one. I just
Change your
started listening to
words,
that.
change your life.
Yeah. Joyce
Awesome.
Meyer is also another good
Who
one.
wrote that book?
What was that?
Who wrote that?
I'm not Joyce Meyer.
Joyce Meyer.
Yeah, Joyce Meyer
Excellent.
she's
love
got
it.
she's got some good books that are not real estate related, but it's just more where you can work on your internal self, right? Just a little bit every day. It's she has a lot of, I don't want to say meditation books, but like if you're going to meditate in the morning, a lot of her books are just calm and just helps you kind of get into that realm of remember to treat yourself like this. And then you just learn how to grow internally more. It's more for yourself, I think, as a woman. To be honest with you.
So, what's one piece of advice that you could give some of the young ladies in our industry that are starting out?
Gosh, this is have grace. Give yourself grace. Be kind to yourself. I think having grace for yourself and giving yourself permission to fail is very powerful. A lot of us take on so much from others because we're so worried about how other people see us and portray us. And we want to be like, we were talking earlier, like how I got here may not be how you get to the same spot, but you can take and mold things into yourself. We've all done that, right? And for the newer agent or newer lady thinking about even running their own business is just have grace for yourself. Give yourself permission to just say, you're doing a great job today. You're good. You're good. And, God, I could go on with that too all day. So.
I love that. I love that because I say that all the time. We have to give ourselves grace and it all will be okay.
It will be. And two,
it's
Maria,
all good.
It is. It's all good. And I see in our industry, there's so much competition and it's all fake. It's not real. But we make it seem so real and so absolute that we tend to change who we truly are to be this avatar that we think people see us as, right? Instead of coming from a place where we build up our own avatars of ourselves, how we see ourselves, right? Not worrying about anybody else, but how we see ourselves. And then putting avatars together of who we want to attract. I wish I would have been taught that as a young woman going into business or just becoming a mom or, starting life. I wish somebody would have taught me that. I really do.
That's a great nugget for us to end with today. It is true how the only competition we have is ourselves. And so if you could put the blinders on and just head down and just go find your own path, trust the process, us as leaders deliver to you.
Yeah.
And give yourself grace. Kim, it's been a pleasure to have you on the Be the Solution podcast today. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you. And I'm excited to see your journey over the next decade. You have a lot,
Yeah.
so much that you're going to do.
I have a lot to do, but again, I'm grateful to be around amazing, people like yourself, business owners, lady leaders, and really be around those that want to see you grow and do good and that support you. So, thank you,
Awesome.
Maria.
Thanks again.